Welcome, everyone. Hi, I am Christina Youngberg, the co-founder of The Case for Her, along with Wendy Anderson.
Hi, everybody.
We'd like to give you a warm welcome, to all of you, and especially to the teams here who are the winners of The Case for Her in Teen Vogue 2020, Closing the Pleasure Gap brief with D&AD. The Case for Her is a philanthropic investment portfolio that's grown out of a 10-year partnership and belief that it's time to destigmatize the key women's health issues of menstruation and sexual health and pleasure. We fund research, we build evidence, and invest in companies tackling this challenge. We're gathered here today to share the outcome of our partnership with Teen Vogue and D&AD. It's partnerships like this one where we hope to mainstream and destigmatize these key issues at scale and raise awareness amongst exciting, inspiring young professionals who will create the copy that we read and the products that we use. I invite you to open your mind, enjoy this incredible lineup that we have for you today. Now I'll turn it over to Lindsey, who will give us the run of show. Thank you.
Thank you, Christina and Wendy. So hello, everybody. My name is Lindsey, and I'm the Communications Officer here at The Case for Her. I want to start off by introducing the pleasure gap. So the pleasure gap, or orgasm gap, refers to the fact that in heterosexual relationships, men have more orgasms than women. And it's a real issue. In a recent survey in the Netherlands, Durex found that 75% of women reported difficulty reaching climax, but only 28% of men. And the pleasure gap is a much bigger issue than you might think. 43% of women report having sexual concerns or difficulties. 9 in 10 college-age women have reported engaging in unwanted sexual acts to please their partners. And it's also a problem in understanding our own bodies because 1 in 4 women misidentify the vagina on a diagram of the women's reproductive system. So how do we break these stigmas around female sexual pleasure and finally close the pleasure gap? Well, that brings us to the D&AD New Blood Awards. For the last 40 years, the New Blood Awards has been a design and art competition that's open to emerging talents in the creative industries. So advertising, design, marketing, and much more. And these are real briefs put forward by real clients like us to give these incredible talents real world experience that can lead to industry recognition and really jumpstart their careers. Last year, in partnership with Teen Vogue, we sponsored a New Blood Award briefs called Mind the Pleasure Gap. And here we asked these incredible talents to design content that would break down the stigmas around female sexual pleasure. We had an incredible 19,500 downloads of our brief. And from those, 225 entries, resulting in 13 pencil winners. Those are the highest honors of recognition that New Blood awards. So today, we would like to introduce you to 8 of those amazing teams. We'll start off by each team showing their 2-minute video. These are the videos that they originally submitted that won their D&AD New Blood pencils. They'll then go into a 3-minute pitch where each team will present their ideas for taking these ideas to the next level. And then they'll each get 2 questions, one from an expert and one from you in the audience. So please use the Q&A box to submit your questions and we'll be selecting one for each team. I would also like to introduce you to our expert, our Q&A master for the evening, Erin Stadler. Erin is a managing partner at Boomtown Accelerators in Boulder, Colorado. Erin says she's most proud of their founders first approach that focuses on preparing the founders for their startup journey by challenging the unhealthy expectations around being an entrepreneur. So instead, they're building the mindset and approaches for building great businesses while taking care of themselves and building strong supporter networks. So we're so happy to have Erin with us tonight, and we hope you will enjoy the experience as much as us. But we're really here to see the teams. So let me introduce our first team, Am I Normal?
Everywhere you look, there are penises. Big ones, little ones, thick ones, thin ones, scribbled on toilet doors, in the margins of textbooks and burnt onto people's backs at the beach. They're unavoidable. But seeing them from a young age means the stigma has gone. They're not shocking or intimidating, they're just normal. Unlike vulvas. The female body remains a mystery to everyone. Teachings range from diluted biology classes to exaggerations in porn, leaving teens no other option but to learn about their bodies from gossip and contradicting information from Google. The same sex tips won't work for everyone, so girls should be encouraged to explore what their idea of pleasure is. But it doesn't have to be complicated. By simplifying the way we see vulvas and the way we talk about female pleasure, we can be free to work out what normal is to us as individuals. And so, we encourage people to focus on I, and then we put I everywhere, on billboards, posters, and anywhere penises usually get scribbled. Brand ambassadors will spread the message by putting eyes within their usernames and posts captioned with the unspoken question on every teenage girl's lips. Am I normal? We will create a buzz on social media by not explaining what I represents, meaning people will turn to that tried and tested platform for answers. Googling I or questions surrounding what is normal will direct you to the Case for Her's Am I Normal forum. The forum will allow people to anonymously submit any questions or concerns they may have, which will be answered by professionals. With our ambassadors leading the way, girls will be encouraged to embrace I and post it on social media, confessing their stories and worries on TikTok and in pop-up festival toilets. Each Teen Vogue issue will put the focus on I, from the cover to the articles. They will feature questions from the online forum that need the most explanation in an open but non-threatening way. Together, we will create a safe community that has the trust of a girl's bathroom and the knowledge of industry experts. The focus has been on penises for too long. It's time that we give girls the confidence to focus on I and what pleasure means to them. Everywhere you look, there are penises.
Hi there. So this is a drawing of a penis. We see them everywhere. We know how to draw them, and we're highly familiar with them from a young age. But do you ever see the female counterpart? It might seem like a daft thing, but we think it has a big impact.
While looking to tackle the female pleasure gap, we realise that girls aren't even comfortable talking about their vulvas, let alone what they're doing with them. So in order to solve the pleasure gap, we first have to find a way to normalise conversation around vulvas.
The information teenagers currently have access to has no middle ground. They must choose between the dull, vague biological details of science lessons and the exaggerations of porn. Consequently, girls sit in the middle, confused, anxious, and intimidated by the extremes, surviving on the knowledge of friends and schoolyard rumours.
We want to create a world where girls feel comfortable with their bodies.
So this is where I comes in. It's a simplistic, non-threatening and fun drawing of the vulva. Like the infamous cock and balls, it's condensed down to 3 key parts, and like the infamous cock and balls, it can be altered to suit individuals.
We're not trying to eradicate dick drawings, but to replicate the way in which the world became familiarised with them. We're levelling up the playing field with the ultimate goal of making an eye the go-to doodle for a vulva.
Our video that you've just seen has gone over some of our long-term plans, but to start with, we want to keep it super simple and focus on building a like-minded community that provides comfort and information to females of all ages.
To do this, we will be opening an Instagram page with the content consisting of illustrated eyes like the ones on the screen, in all shapes, sizes and colours. We will encourage girls to focus on I and include informative and relatable content about things girls might be too scared to search outright.
From our various I illustrators, we will also create stickers that can be used anywhere and for anything. By creating a huge variety of these, we hope we can familiarise girls with the many different normals out there and open up light-hearted and reassuring conversation about something we've been avoiding for far too long.
In the future, we hope to capture a wider demographic's attention and create gallery-like events, but right now, simplicity is key, and all we are looking for are illustrators to draw our eyes that can be sold as stickers and used on Instagram. If this is something you'd be interested in, then please do get in touch. But for now, thank you so much for listening to our presentation, and if you have any questions, we'd be very happy to answer them.
Lucy, Charlotte, that was awesome. Thanks for presenting today. Yeah, cool. Before we start, I want to remind everyone about the Q&A box down there because I'll be looking for some questions for the second one, but I get to ask you guys the first one. So I'm curious what you two think is the most important first step when it comes to launching a campaign like this? You know, when it first comes out, when it hits the pages, you know, people see it and they ask questions, like, what's the most important thing to be in place to kind of capture that initial reaction?
First of all, what you said, when you said that when people start asking questions, I think that in itself is something that we want, because this is obviously a topic that people don't ask. They don't talk about it enough, and they don't ask enough questions. So it's definitely something that we want to open it up to. But I think our number one thing is we really just want to get I to be the go-to doodle for vulvas worldwide, which is probably a large ask, but it's very much what we're hoping to achieve.
Awesome, thanks. So let's see, I'm gonna grab a question here for you guys from Cindy. Is there a reason why you've centered on this excellent campaign and around the question, am I normal?
That is a great question. We have discussed having a sort of forum type website where girls can go and look at what is normal. So when we were doing our research, we realized that girls are often terrified of searching these things online, and when they do search them online, they're getting this mixed bag of results where it's the extremes of porn and contradictory information from these unreliable forums that are years and years old. So we'd love to have somewhere where experts can give feedback and also other girls can relate and say, I do this too, where they can feel safe. And we think that our I logo can fit into so many different words that will relate to issues around this topic that are close to us and we think are quite important to present.
And then what, so you kind of talked about the initial, piece and going out. So do you have any additional ideas on strategies you might use to kind of keep things fresh and keep it going?
Yeah, definitely. We want to ensure that we have a variety of artists, a lot of different designs, a lot of different influences that kind of show, we use them to kind of point out that every girl's different, and whatever you are is completely perfect. It's just everyone has different styles. So our first thing would be looking at stickers and looking at really promoting the artists that we're using. We'd also like to do different events, and we've also already reached out to the Vagina Museum and collaborating with them for a number of things.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much, Lucy and Charlotte, and thank you, Erin, for posing our wonderful questions. I would like us now to move forward and introduce you to our second team, Be Your Own First.
My first time. We hear about it a lot.
It's actually my first time.
I remember my first time with Brittany.
It was my first time.
Usually hyped up to be a magical moment. But for many people, when they start to have sex, it can be painful, confusing, and anything but magical.
Do you guys masturbate?
No.
What? That's gross.
For women or non-binary people to learn what arouses them, self-exploration is crucial. That's why Teen Vogue is partnering with The Case for Her to change the meaning of my first time. This will strive to normalize masturbation and encourage young people to get to know their own bodies. To be your own first. The content series will kick off with a video titled My First Time, with a diverse range of celebrities and everyday people. After a few stories, the viewers will realize they are about masturbating, not sex. Then it will continue on Teen Vogue's TikTok page, but for a fun twist, these videos will reveal any objects they used the first time they masturbated. This content will allow women and non-binary individuals of all ages to see people like them being honest about self-pleasure, which hopefully leads them to trying it out themselves. Because your first time should be with someone special.
So everyone here is familiar with the pleasure gap, but we're going to focus on 3 problems that are keeping women and non-binary people from masturbating. So the branded content you saw in our video works to tackle the taboo, which is very important, but we can't stop there. So let's talk about the fear factor. Products like these are fun and empowering for consenting adults, but for young people, this idea of pleasure often scares them away from exploring it at all. And then there's the unknown. When I was growing up, these were the Bibles for learning about my body or sexuality, and neither spoke to me about self-pleasure. Even though there's much more available today, the sexual wellness industry overlooks the needs of young people. When we look outside the category, feminine brands are being provocative and redefining things like body hair, periods, and skin imperfections. So when we talk about self-pleasure, we need to make a big shift. We're going to move away from thinking of masturbation as a sex act and instead reimagine it completely as self-care. If you're wondering why self-care, experts are saying in 2020, self-care is not indulgent, but actually more critical than ever.
We believe this is our opportunity to fully and completely reinvent the self-pleasure conversation. All of this research and work led us to create the First Timer. It's a kit designed to introduce young women and non-binary people to their first self-pleasure experience. It includes a non-penetrative vibrator, lubricating balm, and a guidebook. From the moment they access and open the box, they'll be welcomed with a warm, encouraging tone, reminding them, of course, that their first time should be with someone special. The guide will introduce a range of topics from the science of orgasms to manual stimulation techniques. First-time stories and self-love mantras will inspire the reader along the way, and will carry over that tone into our content on social media with simple, shareable formatting and engaging content. Combining all of that online content, our kit, and the First Timer's Guide, we're going to start to tackle the complicated conversation surrounding masturbation. We were driven to take on this brief and expand it thus because we both know we are poised to culturally alter the conversation around the female orgasm. I cannot express enough how access to content like this and a kit like this would have been an absolute game changer for me. And it would have changed the way that I thought not only about myself and my body, but consent, sex, pleasure, and women as a whole. We're looking for any and all support to make this happen because we can't wait any longer. It's time to close the gap. If you have any questions, we'd be happy to answer them.
Jordan, Aaron, thank you. That was awesome. So the question I have for you guys is, when would you introduce this? When do you think it should be introduced, to a girl? And what would that distribution, how would she actually get her hands on one of these boxes?
You're talking like how old would the girl be?
Yeah.
We're thinking probably around like 14 because it's probably right when she's starting to become curious about maybe pleasure or her body, but there's not really a lot of resources that speak to young women at this age because it's a lot about partnered sex. And so we think that this is the right age and it's not too young because this is when they're starting to become curious about all of this.
So then at 14, if you imagine like what, 14-year-old girl, I'm horrible at grades, but right, middle school or such, how is she going to receive one of these boxes? Is it through a parent? Is it through how do you see reaching her when she's not, we'll say, an adult out there searching the internet for stuff like this?
Yeah, we've talked about a couple of different access points. In an ideal world, of course, this would possibly be a gift from a parent, but we know that's not always going to be the case, depending on a parental situation. We definitely talked about having kind of an access point online and through Instagram and through the content that they're hopefully already consuming, and moving into maybe it's subtle packaging. But yeah, we definitely have other ideas and thoughts on how to make sure that we're reaching them in an appropriate way, but also giving them access to this kind of content and material.
Do you think there's parental education that you're going to have to do too to get through some of the stigma?
Absolutely. Yeah. I don't know, Erin, you can speak a little bit more to that.
So we were thinking that the Instagram page for this product or offering is primarily focused towards the young people who would be using the kit. But then we were thinking the website that would be what if maybe parents got a targeted ad or something, it would lead to this website, which has more focus on parental education. So there would be kind of two different ways that we target either the parents or their children. But yes, we would definitely have separate information for each group because it would be different.
Thank you so much, Erin, for our next round of questions here. I would like to move on and introduce our next team, Clitar Hero.
For years, gaming has taught guys quick and accurate finger skills. But unfortunately, these skills aren't being practiced on their partners. Studies show that women orgasm way less than men during sex, resulting in what we know as the orgasm gap. This is the result of centuries of bad sex education and a huge ignorance around the female orgasm.
No surprise, fewer than half of teenage girls have ever masturbated.
So to normalize female pleasure and teach young women how to play their unique instrument, we create a game for young women. Clitar Hero. Teen Vogue and The Case for Her will team up with OMGS, the first website to develop specific techniques for women to reach an orgasm. Clitar Hero is a touchscreen game matching the finger techniques with music so women can play their way to an orgasm. The game will educate women, encourage them to try techniques themselves, and direct them to The Case for Her's website to learn more. By taking a fun and different approach to a serious topic, we will inspire young women to find out what they like. And if partners are curious to play along, they're more than welcome to. Because only by being curious and starting a conversation, we can smash the taboo around female sexual pleasure and decrease the orgasm gap.
Hello, everyone. Hope you enjoyed the video. We are Clarissa and Katrine. And first, I just want to say that we're super grateful and happy to be here today. And as you can probably imagine, Clitar Hero really starts a conversation. When we started this project about 1 year ago, we had never imagined that we would be talking about orgasms and clitoris stimulation with our teachers, our parents, grandparents, colleagues, friends, bosses, basically everyone. But we did, and what they told us was that they told even more people. And we realized that this is a conversation starter, and Clitar Hero is already smashing taboos before it has even come to life. And that's a result of conversation. And each conversation is one step closer to closing the orgasm gap.
Yes, and what we really wanted to do was to take the awkwardness out of sex ed by gamifying the vulva with features such as streaks, rewards, haptic vibrations, personalization of the vagina you're playing on, and of course, playing to women empowering songs.
Yeah, and there are many reasons why we believe this will work. It's a fun, different, and it's a really unexpected approach to a taboo and serious matter. And we think that really matters in this case. It speaks to the Gen Z audience because they're always online and they want to learn through interaction. But this idea goes way beyond that audience. We believe that this can speak to even grown-up women and men. And we've spoken to a lot of them that said that they'd be very interested in this. So it could have many different formats. And last but not least, it has really great PR potential.
Yeah, but we are missing a few pieces. And the main piece we're missing are collaborators. We're really hoping to find partners who want to go on this journey with us and Clitar Hero. And hereby, of course, we would need some help with the development of the game. And of course, also an overall launch strategy. So to sum up, our goal is to make Clitar Hero come to life so we can continue to de-taboo female sexual pleasure and decrease the orgasm gap. Yeah, here we are, Team Clitar Hero, Katrine and Clarissa. We just want to finish off by saying that, as you can probably tell, we are so proud and passionate about Clitar Hero. We really do believe in the potential that Clitar Hero has and want it to come to life really bad. We're also very open towards how that would happen. So we hope that there is someone out there who is willing and wants to go conquer the world with Clitar Hero and us, of course. Thank you all so much for your time and thank you for listening.
Ladies, thank you. That was awesome and very exciting. So you talked a little bit about the conversations that you had started right? And you know that's a conversation. So other than the game, what are some other strategies you've thought about to capture the energy around those conversations?
Well, do you want to, Clarissa?
You go, Kat.
Okay. Well, we've talked about many things, and we were so surprised. Well, surprised, not really. Well, because we loved it, but everyone else seemed to love it as well. So definitely there's a huge word of mouth within this, because people almost had an urge to tell people they knew about it. Even my grandparents told their friends. So it is really broad in that sense, but we could definitely see influencers, or who knows, musicians. What's really important for us to say as well is that nothing's set in stone for Clitar Hero. We think there's a lot of opportunity to make it go in many directions. So anything you could imagine really could be done, we feel like.
Of course, the game will be backed up by a launch campaign, so it will be probably digital and hopefully much more. But I think what we discussed is nothing is set in stone, and it will really depend on the audience and the collaborators that we end up partnering with, where this will go.
So do you see, so in the game, I mean, I see that as like a capture piece, right? It's kind of that funnel in, and you're capturing that tension. Like, do you imagine there being additional conversations, someplace for them to go? Like, what other potential engagement points have you kind of imagined in this community? I kind of think further, right? There's a point where it's like, okay, I played the game and that was fun, but kind of continuing the engagement. Is there a little bit of like how, what might come next? Have you guys gone that far? Or you focus on the game here in the beginning?
Sure. I think, of course, the video mainly shows the game, but of course there will be a next step. And I think that will mainly be content, like a lot of content, making sure that people can engage and share their experiences, because this is also about sharing your own experience and finding out what other likes, and being a part of starting this conversation with your friends and family. But it could also be events. It could be, many things within the Clitar Hero universe. But yeah, we haven't defined anything specifically.
Erin, thank you again for another wonderful Q&A session. I'd like to now introduce our next team, the Lady Library.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Haha, these are nice.
So there's a picture of a vagina.
What I see is like different pussies.
In exactly porn and in sex education, we usually have pictures of the ideal looking body, or how a woman should look like.
When I was younger and I used to look up porn to understand sex, I used to see like this one particular style of vagina. So I was like, mine does not look like completely that way. And I thought that was the normal one, and I got the weird one.
There's a little note.
"22% of women masturbate before bedtime, which helps them fall asleep at night. By masturbation, you increase the level of cortisol in your body and strengthen your immune system."
I thought I was one of the only ones who did it when I was younger. And then I realized as I grew up that it was something that everybody did.
I think this product would normalize it a lot more.
Take a little more charge in the sense of, I'm here as well and I didn't finish off, so a little help.
Every female have the right to know how normal they are, yeah.
Knowing that I'm not that different can actually be a strength.
Okay. Hello, I have a question for you. Do you know how many choices women have when buying pads in the supermarket? The other day, I went to the supermarket to buy some myself, and I found out that I had 7 different options. Worldwide, the number of different menstrual pads is extensive. Regardless of brand, the function of pads is the same. It must absorb and prevent leakage. With a largely uniform product, company must find ways to make their product different from the rest. I went to the supermarket, and the colors and the patterns of the packaging were the only significant visual difference between the package of the pads. Therefore, there's a huge potential in rethinking the way that packaging is designed. The company that wishes to use Lady Library on their pads will have a unique opportunity to stand out from its opponents because it gives menstruating women informative value, and they give them a good reason to choose this particular brand over the other ones available on the market. By looking at women's shopping habits, we know that they're much more likely to buy products that are meaningful to them. So the cost of the packaging is the same no matter what you print on it. So why not print something more meaningful instead? And what will make better sense than print facts and sexual pictures so that all women can get the right sex education that they need and deserve? So who are the ones that are buying those pads?
All menstruation women, of course. With Lady Libraries, mothers of young teenagers get the opportunity to talk about difficult subjects and ensure that their daughter get enough information in a safe environment. At the same time, young teenagers gain access to this information and avoid uncomfortable conversation with their parents and friends. This possible subject in the Lady Library are limitless and will not only work on the pads. Other hygiene projects such as tampons and panty liners will also be suitable. Lady Library is an innovative idea that involves brand identity, product design, and creates good opportunity for brand uniqueness. This is why we are looking for a connection that can help us take Lady Library to the next level. We believe in this idea, and we are very passionate about it. Therefore, we are open to different ways of bringing Lady Library from an idea to reality. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. So there's three team members. Rebecca, you're part of the team too?
4, actually.
Very cool. So I'm curious, are the designs your own designs that you're putting on there, or how are you building the library?
The video you just saw is not our own designs. It's artists, but we created some new parts and a new. You showed the hero film. We also have a case video.
Yeah.
At the case video, it's our own designs.
Yeah. We think that Lady Library can work like making collaboration with different artists of vulvas, but we also made it ourselves. So it will be plug and play for the company that will work with us.
We have our own designs too.
Yeah.
And I mean, other than like it being a surprise that I open it up, I mean, are you also, as a part of the partnership, would you provide kind of a strategy to, get the word out? Or are you hoping as a part of that partnership that they leverage their own kind of marketing and PR channels?
We think that as a part of the strategy, we will of course print all the facts and the sexual things on the pads. And then we will make, as you saw, like a hero movie or an advertising movie showing other people around the world what is inside of those pads packaging.
Yeah.
So as you saw in the video, like invite a lot of different girls and women of all ages to like open this package up. It's like a gift, and just see them react on all the facts.
The end, we just want Lady Library to be a thing because we think it has to be a thing. We need to help teenagers, girls, women all over the world. So we will just like to help if someone wants to start it up, something want to do it. We just want to do what we can. We have been working on this project in over a year, so we have so many thoughts we would like to talk with people about.
Yeah. So we will.
Have you guys considered also looking at kind of other alternative menstrual products, cups, for example, or just not only traditional ones?
Yeah.
We have a lot of we can make it on Tampax or panty liners or menstrual cups, like everything. You can also have it on wathing cloths. I don't know, the things you are washing down there one time. I don't know what I don't know what it's called. Every female hygiene product can have sex education on them. It can work everywhere. Yes.
Lady Library team, thank you so much. And thank you, Erin, for our next round of questions. We are actually going to take a short break for something a little different. We want to know what you in the audience think. What is the key to closing the pleasure gap? We'll just take a moment here and let you log your answers in. Is it better sex education programs? Is it open and honest discussions? Maybe you think there needs to be better advertising policies that are more equally based for male and female sexual health and wellness products. Or maybe the idea isn't listed here at all. Please share in the chat box if you have another thought. Give it about 10 more seconds and we'll see the results of our poll here. Awesome. So it looks like open and honest discussions about sexuality has beat out better sex education programs just by a very small margin. So I hope that woke everyone up a little bit. Let's move on to our next team, Team Operation O.
Can you see me?
We see and hear you. Go ahead.
Oh, great. So imagine creating a virtual version of yourself that will allow you to explore your pleasure potential and to share that exploration with your partner. Operation O allows you to know your I don't know. How? Now that's liberating. And it will support young women by providing them with reliable and entertaining scientific information with each buzz. Seeing other women's stories at the different pleasure points and having the option to simply tap and add your own pleasure points and then save and share them with your partner will comfort and empower. And it will excite young women to discover their pleasure and wellness without hurting themselves and feeling alone. Or as Charlotte and Lucy say, feel normal. It can be the social platform that is rewarding to every woman. So we think Operation O has the potential to drive traffic to the right website and would love to find a partner or mentor to finally know our I don't know. Thank you for your time, and I'm happy to answer questions.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So it sounded like you're looking for a partner. Can you, and so your goal here is like through the app, it kind of drives traffic into a website, yes. Or can you say more there?
Yes, so it is an in-browser game. So we'd actually use other brands' websites. So it's about finding a suitable brand to partner with for the game to be active on.
And what would you, when it's the right partner, like what do you imagine, like other than, like what does the right partner look like for you? Like what are you really in search of there? Like what does that perfect partner look like?
So it looks like, I sort of imagine, can I mention a brand? Oh. So I sort of picture like Bumble, like where women make the first move, and Dove, Cotton On Body. So all these brands that really strive to empower women and push their confidence.
No, yeah, interesting. So. Okay, so kind of so that's interesting. So what do you see the age demographic for the game then?
So it would, we were thinking women about 15 to 40. I mean, it is quite fun to learn about your own bodies.
No, very good. So I'm curious, how did you come up with the idea?
So it was, how did we come? Oh, we actually thought about the old Doctor game. I don't know if you played it ever, but you have to put all the organs inside, and then when you place it incorrectly, it buzzes. And then we thought, well, when you find the buzz, it will, when you find your pleasure point, it will buzz. So that it was originally inspired by the Doctor kids game.
It's like the anti-operation. I like it. Well, thank you so much. I want to take a minute too to remind people to answer or to ask questions through the specific Q&A box. And then for yourself and those that are presenting, make sure you hit that Q&A button too. People are leaving some questions behind, so make sure that you question those. Thank you so much. It was awesome.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Erin, and thank you, Tilsha. All right, let's meet our next team. Own your parts.
Only 22% of the core science, technology, engineering and mathematics workforce identifies female in the UK. 15 is the average age where females lose interest in these STEM subjects. Why is this? Right now, the school curriculum doesn't connect these subjects to real-world issues. That's why Teen Vogue is shaking up the classroom, introducing Own Your Parts, encouraging women and non-binary people with power today to inspire you, the next generation of STEM leaders. Using a kit developed with the Case for Her and Touchy-Feely Tech, Teen Vogue are walking you through the steps to create a gender-neutral vibrator. This is not your textbook science lesson. You'll make your own vibrator and own your parts. We'll cover stimulating science where you can make lubricants and explore how they react with different materials. Thrilling technology where you can build the skills to assemble a vibrator from parts, learning about electrical components, circuits, and soldering along the way. Earth-shaking engineering gives you the chance to understand the parts that make up your parts and how to design ergonomic vibrators for you. To finish off, mesmerizing mathematics helps you calculate the speed, power, and rhythms of your new creation. Your classroom becomes a laboratory to talk about experimentation, masturbation, and pleasure without judgment and in a safe environment. You'll be able to read exclusive interviews with leading scientists working at the intersection of STEM and pleasure on Teen Vogue's website, or watch segments on TikTok and Instagram. Test your knowledge with quizzes on Snapchat. Knowledge is pleasure. Time to own it. You're the next generation of scientists, and your pleasure stems from here.
Hi, can you hear me? Good. Hi, my name is Priya. My pronouns are they, them, and what you just saw was a speculative collaboration between myself and Touchy Feely Tech. They're a sex tech company transforming the conversation around pleasure through STEM. Slide, please. In 2020, Own Your Parts was released, but in 2021, we would like to hone into the core of the project, which is exploring what pleasure means to young people today. Slide, please. We envision this to take on the form of a research project, resulting in a content series released to coincide with season 3 of Sex Education. Slide, please. Our audience would be young people who are experiencing more and more of their education online for the first time, Zoomers, those who are excluded from cisgendered heteronormative sex education, and others who might just be curious to explore what pleasure means outside of what the mainstream media portrays it to be. Slide, please. The advantages include, but are not limited to, stimulating important discussions, empowering young people's ability to self-educate, and in turn allowing them to shape the future of their pleasure. Slide, please. This project would be broken down into 3 phases: collecting information, seeking insights from these, and then sharing these in a digestible format. Slide, please. Phase 1 would explore what people's definition and perception of pleasure was, how it has evolved, and what it could be in the future. This could be done through Instagram Lives, interviews, and workshops. In phase 2, we would look for patterns, create a cartography of pleasure, mapping out past, present, and future, and collate that into an official insight report. Slide, please. Finally, we could translate our findings into a number of possible outputs, including a series of video interviews, a pleasure hackathon, a chatbot, etc. that could be distributed in collaboration with the listed brands. Slide, please. So in 2021, we're looking for you, a third collaborator to produce this content series with, who shares our passion for inclusivity and wants to help empower young people to shape their pleasure and own their parts. Slide, please. So why us? Between us, we bring design experience, a history in the sex tech industry, and share a passion for STEM and self-exploration. Thank you for listening, and we hope that you're just as excited to collaborate with us as we are with you. Thanks.
Thank you. So is this kind of a time-bound project then, like a beginning to end, where the actual box is kind of a part, it's in the insight stage, yes?
Yeah, so the box is kind of like what jump-started this project, but I think it'd be really interesting to really understand what young people want today, because I think this is kind of my interpretation for my research, but it'd be really nice to understand this from a crowdsourced perspective.
And I mean, so what gave you the idea to kind of merge these two, like the STEM self-exploration with the sexual education?
So I've been following Touchy Feely Tech for a while on Instagram, and when the DNA debrief came around, I was like, oh, these two would be like the perfect match, and it would be a really interesting angle to take on challenging ideas about women and non-binary people's pleasure.
No, yeah, well, they're already coming here. It definitely surprised me when I watched the video, and I thought that is an interesting, way to put that into. So I imagine like people are, I imagine, you had the facilitation experience, right? So you'd get kind of a group, you'd use this box as a way to kind of gather insights. I'm curious why you felt like actually this box was the best way to gain some of those insights that you're looking for.
I think the initial box I think it was really interesting to open it up in a sort of classroom setting and to bring sex education into just the mainstream kind of STEM education. So it's not like the separate putting a condom on a banana kind of really awkward interaction, but something that's completely normal and really it removes stigma.
And so with that, in that insight stage, I mean, how many people are you hoping to reach?
It could be anything from 100 to even more, depending on what kind of engagement we'd be able to get and who would be able to partner with.
And is that what you're looking? What are the primary things you're looking for from that partner then?
So I think the first thing is definitely mutual amount of respect. So we all respect each other and our intellectual property and empathy, but also experience in terms of working with a research project of this scale.
Awesome.
Thank you
so much.
Cheers.
Thank you so much, Priya and Aaron. And now let's meet our next team, Team Play for
That is not what she said. Fact. The clitoris alone has 8,000 pleasure receptors, while the penis only has 4,000. Yet women are still less likely to orgasm than men. To fight for our orgasms, we need to know our vulvas, because knowledge is power. With an abstinence mindset, half of our world's sex education is ineffective. Only 13 states in the US require medically accurate sex ed, and almost no one is talking about pleasure. It's time to take this education into their own hands. For digital natives, their phones get more finger action than their bodies. And they're already talking to each other openly about sex on social media. So together, we at Teen Vogue and The Case for Her are diving into their digital space while reinventing the classic teen magazine games and quizzes. Tapping into their most used app, Instagram, we're showing girls how their time and finger could be put to better use to improve their orgasms. We're turning tapping the screen into flicking the bean. Part of the vulva will light up. Flick the corresponding name into the vulva. The faster you flick, the better the kick. Based on the game's results, the players will receive targeted ads on their feed. Like a secret friend, we will educate them accordingly. So no search history or embarrassing encounters. As time goes on, more games will be added, tackling misconceptions about pleasure, anatomy, masturbation, and more to help girls explore their sexuality. No blushing, no shame.
Thank you so much for having us. And without further ado, let's jump right into it. So our incentive was to re-educate women through targeted ads that lead to a microsite where they spend most of their time generally, and that's social media. With a we wanted to gamify the educational aspect on a pleasure and sexual health through sound, haptic feedback, anatomically correct illustrations. And then with this score, give the player the opportunity to pick up on their wrong and right answers, essentially leveraging their learning curve.
So how this works is we will add a Facebook pixel to the microsite game. So because you are already actually within the app Instagram, this pixel then allows you to save all the possible data about the website visitor, giving us the possibility to retarget them with ads that include the missing information that they missed in the game, making the ads personal and tailored to their knowledge. What is also great about this pixel is and this target group data is that it can also be very useful for future retargeting, social media campaigns, and advertising, making it easy to target women who are already invested in this subject and more likely to make a purchase in the future. Also, if the player shares their high score on the through the face filter, we expand our organic reach among their followers and friends, reaching an even bigger audience, not only women, but also spreads the message to all sex partners.
Yeah, and we have some, to expand on this idea, product integration opportunities. For brands and retailers, we can attach different products to each of the games. So the 3 games that we presented in our concept film were Feeling Flutters, which is a masturbation game, Get Me Bodied, which is matching sex positions to help achieve orgasm, and then Flick the Bean, which is an anatomy game. So these different things can link up to different products inside of this, and it can go beyond that too, to more products. For media platforms, the opportunity would be to drive engagement and open up collaboration opportunities with brands as well, to be able to write articles and have different education process, but also with product base. So what we're first to introduce ourselves, my name's Brandy. I'm a creative producer. Yelska is a creative strategist focusing on social media, and Bronco is a strategist in digital. So what we would really like is to work with somebody who wants to take on our idea, and we would like to either work as consultants or hand the project off. This isn't something we want to build specifically just ourselves. We want to do it for somebody here.
Thank you. Yeah, that was awesome. So from that point of view, on kind of your last ask, what do you think the biggest outcomes or impacts that a brand or a group would have by using this strategy?
So I think a brand, what's really great about this is that so many times when people go to websites and look at these different products like a vibrator or lubricants or different health products for intimate washes, they don't 100% understand what they're using them for or which one they need. And so when you educate yourself first about your anatomy, you might understand more about what you need yourself. And I think this was a problem I had growing up, and a lot of women did too. I didn't know how to purchase, so I didn't purchase.
And then I guess one of the, we'll say, tougher questions for the group, but I believe you guys will be able to answer this. When it comes to social media and some of these kind of stigmatized pieces, have you guys done some research on whether these posts will land on Instagram or whether they're allowed to be there, or where products have had trouble, we'll say, using some of those platforms in themselves? Does this help them navigate some of that, or you have any concern about them using your strategy on any of those platforms?
Yeah, so because nothing that we do is very explicit, a lot of, if you see the social media approach that we have, it's text. So there really isn't anything there that is explicit. The game is on a microsite that links back through social media. So it's a separate platform. It's just that we use it as a way to not have to download an app. And then the retargeting happens afterwards. I think Jelska also has, she specializes in social media, so she might have a better answer for this.
Yeah, I completely agree with Brandy. Our ads are completely textual and can include like the fingers movement, but the anatomy, the vagina and the vulva, everything will obviously stay off an ad because, of course, due to the regulations, not really allowed, which should change in my opinion. But then again, these visuals, like the filter, for example, that does include vulvas, it can all change. It isn't set in stone. But yeah, you can still kind of target like a microsite that does have these visuals, as long as it's not directly on the app. If that clears anything up.
No, that was a question from the audience. So, you know,
okay, great.
Unfortunately, that's just a kind of reality of some of the things we're trying to, break down the walls for. So,
definitely an important issue right now. So thank you so much for bringing it up and speaking on it a little bit. Thank you, team Play for Pleasure.
Thank you.
Now, last but not least, we have our final team, the vulva visibility issue.
Hello.
If you ask a guy about the first time he ever saw his penis, he'd look at you funny. But if you ask a woman about the first time she ever saw her vulva, she might be able to tell you. She'll likely tell you a story involving awkward mirror acrobatics or the unflattering lens of a camera phone. It'll also probably involve confusion, nervousness, and sometimes shame. Gynecologists report that some 30% of women have never seen their own vulvas, and no wonder there's an orgasm gap. And lesson 1 in knowing what gets you off is knowing what you're working with. To do that, we'll need to get hands-on. So, Team Vogue will print its first physical mag in 2.5 years. This is the Vulva Visibility issue. This issue of our magazine will be centred around a big, beautiful, clear mirror. So unlike most mirrors, you can lay it flat on the floor or prop it up and squat over it for a clear view, leaving your hands free to wander. The magazine and the mirror will take your eyes and fingers on a guided tour of each part of your vulva, from labia majora to minora and everything in between. We'll give you the down low on each bit and make sure you know what's normal for you and what isn't. We'll feature the stories of prominent vulva owners describing the first times they explored what's between their legs in the magazine and on social media. And we'll make sure you know about the issue with our bold mirrored posters and stickers. In the end, it'll be like you've known your vulva your entire life, without a papaya or orchid in sight.
You'll need to unmute yourself.
Sorry, hi, thanks so much for having us. It's a pleasure to be here. So I have never seen my own vulva would not be a statement that would be particularly unusual, even coming from a grown woman. It's a very simple, very stupid fact that many girls actually sort of start having sex before they really have gained much of a familiarity with their body. I know because that was actually my personal experience. I actually first saw my vulva by squinting into a Sephora compact mirror at the age of 19, which I'm sure you'll agree is way too old. And by that point, I'd already kind of seen porn and stuff. So my standards were swayed and I was pretty disappointed with what I saw.
Yeah. And as a guy, I was completely shocked to hear that this is a thing. And society and stigma plays a part, but so does the fact it takes a concerted effort for a girl to actually look down there, which has never been a problem for me. It's literally swinging around there from day one. Girls deserve to see their body and they deserve to see it properly. And we're not talking about an anatomical breakdown, the kind you can get 5 marks for labeling on your biology GCSE. We're talking about a proper look, a proper feel around the part of the body that's really, really fucking important. And yeah, there's been some great conversations in the past few years about female pleasure using cute animations and naughty fruit.
But the fact of the matter is, I wasn't born with a papaya between my legs. None of us were. I was born with a vulva, and I'd like to see it, please. So we wanted to do this in print because we think it's the perfect format. It's a really special medium. It's tactile. Books and magazines move us, and it's unlikely one will ever talk about the web page that changed my life.
Exactly. So that's why we want to create a book or a magazine that's built with this big mirror in the middle. It's essentially a guidebook through you. From labia majora to the clitoris, every part is explained in a human way. Girls deserve this. They deserve to learn about their vulvas without feeling reduced to a laminated diagram from class.
And because every tour needs a charismatic tour guide, we want to work with positive and really fun role models. So people that girls will identify with and look up to, like Lara Condor or Doja Cat. And when we talk to women about this project, they always say the same thing, which was that they wish they had had something like this to kind of prompt self-exploration when they were young girls. So who knows which big name this project will resonate with and inspire to get involved.
That's us. So thanks for listening. We'd love to chat with you. And if you'd like to reach out, we're ready to talk, and we're even more ready to get going really with this project.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you. So what does distribution look like for like the first, we'll say the first issue? Where would you want to see it?
So I guess it's no longer in collaboration with Teen Vogue, am I right? So we kind of see it as being a very beautifully printed book that would maybe be sold in bookshops, potentially in the kids sections, and yeah, just be like a published book, and maybe it could be something that could be distributed in schools as well.
Okay, so that was going to be kind of my next question: is what other thoughts have you given to, I mean, letting people know it's even a book on the shelf, versus just kind of like, I happen to find it there. What other ways, have you thought about approaching kind of the marketing or the launch of the book itself?
I think we were thinking about that, yeah, roughly with the sort of the posters and stickers being mirrored themselves. Alicia and I both come from an advertising background, so we were always sort of thinking about how to sort of get it out in an interesting way. I think we were thinking about university campuses and school places as basically main ways to target them. But of course, it can be advertised through digital, it can be advertised through social media very, very easily. The only thing I don't think that it could live on is digital as an activation. So the advertising can be digital, but we don't want to get into young girls turning on their webcams to, look through things. That invades a lot of sort of privacy reasons, as I'm sure you're aware.
So, I mean, is this something where you might look to see if you could partner with schools? I mean, beyond the bookstores, like?
Yeah, I think it would work well with schools because it kind of, I guess you could, I feel like it's important at any age, depending on the age, because I feel like right up until women in their 30s, 40s, like you hear, like we did a lot of research and gynecologists were saying that women, you know, quite as old as that, sometimes have said that they don't really know what's going on down there. So I think, you know, it would be appropriate for 11-year-olds because it's biology, it's just basic biology, but, you know, it's not necessarily focusing on pleasure per se, it's focusing on what comes before that, which is just comfort and familiarity with your own body. And for me, that's just as appropriate for a 10-year-old as it is for an 18-year-old. So I feel like when your sex education begins, it should start with you as much as it should start with learning about the opposite sex. So I think, yeah, it could play a really good role in sex education. And I think books, and especially the kind of format of our book, which is like kind of what takes cues from like those kind of kids' books which have kind of holes in them and cutouts and stuff, and that are often already used as an educational tool. So it's kind of not too far off from things that are already out there to kind of explain difficult subjects like grief and things like that. I've seen kind of kids' books that tackle those difficult topics. So I think they'd kind of make sense to kind of bring it into a school environment like that.
Thank you, Alicia. Yeah, oh, Erin, thank you to you for another excellent round of questions. And thank you to Team Vulva Visibility Issue for being our final presentation of the day.
Thanks so much.
So a big virtual round of applause for all of our teams and their incredible creative talents that presented for us today. And a big thank you to the audience as well. Please remember that these ideas belong to the teams who created them. If you love an idea and you want to work with them, please reach out to the teams directly and watch your inboxes this week because we will be sending out a special follow-up report with instructions on how to get in touch with all of these amazing talents. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.